So before we starting, do you guys have any doubts? So because we started with the DAX also, DAX being very important, you have to write certain conditions and all. So I would suggest you guys to practice and come up with any kind of doubts if you have. And one thing, like, I will share the recording today, some issue with the actually Zoom actually, wherein I was unable to share it actually. So today I will share the recording for the last 2 or 3 days as such. And probably once you get a chance, you can go through that. Okay. So let's start. If you guys have no doubts, any doubts, Harsha, Harini, Surekha.
No, no, I'm good.
Okay then. So let's uh, go with the next topics as such. Okay. So we were discussing about the pie chart and the donut chart last time. Okay. Let's look at the tree map and other visuals as such. Okay. And generally, this tree map will help in looking at the hierarchical data. So basically, the tree map will always be looking in terms of the concentration. Okay. And the uh, where the kind of different visualizations that we will be able to compose. And this visual will be in terms of the rectangular shapes as such. Okay. So let's look at this. So in the grouping, I will try to use the category field. Okay. Then in detailed field, I will just use the subcategory. And in values, I will just use the sales as such. Okay. Any difference that I am showing in you here? Any difference? Again, you can see the values are being represented by including the subcategory and category. And we are able to see based on each category, the grouping is being done. So this related to technology, this related to furniture, and this one is related to the office supplies. So basically, once we switch on the labels as such, okay, if we see the labels in here, you can see the values now showing up. And as I was referring, the tree map is like generally it has like rectangles representation based on the categories which we are like putting in. It will represent the data in a rectangular shape. And generally, as I was referring, it will show the data in a hierarchical format. Like we have subcategory as lower level hierarchy, category as the higher level hierarchy as such. Then we can give even just change the colors in here. Again, we can use any combination of the colors in here as such. So basically, we are trying to use light and dark combination of colors, and that is where we are able to represent the things in here, something like that. So that's the only thing that you can do in here as such. Okay. And in terms of the line chart, actually, there are a couple of things that we have to discuss. Let's go back to the line chart. Otherwise, let me create a new one in here. So if we look at the line chart, we even have something called uh, the analysis tab, this one, the binoculars that is showing analytics tab. Okay. So basically in this analytics tab, if at all we are using something related to the visual, then we can put some lines like trend lines, maximum line, minimum line based on the things. Okay. So here we'll try to look at something else also. Okay. When we are looking at the line graph, okay, we'll look at few things where we are trying to look at the growth as such. Okay. So suppose I have the sales, right, which I have written sales measure. I'm bringing it to values. And then I will try to look at this will be the current year sales, something like that. Okay. And I want to calculate the last year sales also. Okay. So here I am trying to write a measure. I am saying last year sales. Why I am writing this last year sales also, I will tell you. Okay. So last year sales, again, you see I selected the measure. So the measure is being written in that measures folder only. Okay. So here I am saying calculate. Okay. I will take the total sales measure that we have taken. Okay. Comma. And I am using the function which is date add. Okay. So when I want to look why I'm using this date add, let's see this. See, it moves the given set of dates by a specific interval. So what I thought I would like to see the last year values. Then obviously I am just looking at the date add here. And in this dates parameter, I mean to say whatever the input that we have to give, this is one of the dates that we have to give. So I will just take the date table. Okay. Then comma. Number of intervals I want to go for last year. Then I am saying -1. And in here, if I, as I am going to last year, I'll select the year interval as such. Okay. I am done with my calculation. So this will give me the last year sales for me. Okay. And there is some calculation error that is coming up. The first argument data must specify column. Okay, sorry. So instead of this date table where I have given the table completely, I'll just give the date column as such in that. So this is the date column that is coming out of the date table. So this will be my calculation. So I will just say enter. And now we can see the current year sales and the last year sales. Instead of the line, I will try to show you in the matrix table. This is a matrix one. And you can see the sales in here. I will try to bring in the year actually to the uh, uh, rows or columns wherever it is, that's fine. So just to represent, show you the data, how this is showing as such. So this will be the current year sales as such. Okay, let's say I will just sort by the year actually. So it will show sales for each year. And I am going to use my last year sales function also in here. And now you see, when we are in 2018, it is giving the last year sales as 7 million something, 7 lakhs 33,000. When I am 2017, the last year sales is giving 6,000, 6 lakhs 9,000, which is the number that is reflecting in year. Okay. And this 2018, this is the number that is reflecting in here. Okay. We have done nothing, but see, the calculation that we are asking it to go to the last year sales and give the output of that sales in our column. That is what we have asked it to do here. And why we are writing the current year sales, last year sales is we want to understand whether are we improving in our sales year on year? Are my sales growing or not? Okay. For that, we will write another measure, okay, which will be the growth percentage. Okay, growth percent. Okay. For that, the calculation will be something like this. So current year sales minus last year sales. So these are the calculation that we have written, nothing else. Okay. And I am dividing this by the last year sales. This shows the growth actually. Growth percentage or the variance. The people say that as a variance or the growth percentage and all for these things. And we can, this number is showing as a decimal number, but probably we can change this to the format. Okay. For all the change in the formats, you can just go in here and make the percentage format as such. Now you see, when comparing to 2014 to 2015, there is a increase, sorry, there is a decrease of 2.83%. And you can clearly observe by this. So what is the, am I increasing the sales or decreasing? It is clearly showing in here as such. So now I don't need this total sales and last year sales. Okay. So without me having that also, I can understand what was my sales for the last year. I mean to say, by understanding the percentage, we can see we are trying to get, so from 2014 to 2015, there is a decrease of minus 2.83% in the sales. But when I am comparing to 15 to 16, there is an increase of 29%. Okay, I would like to add this again. Actually, just want to show you the difference. Here it's, you see, it was like 4,70,000, but when came to like 2016, it got increased by 6,09,000. That is where there is a jump of 29%. Okay, from 6,609, sorry, 6,09,000, it got increased to 7,33,000. So there is a jump of 20% actually. Okay, but here it shows minus 100 because there is no value for 2018 where we can compare with the 2017 value. So this calculation is dynamic actually. So wherever we want to look at the sales actually and the difference or the variance, we will be able to write this kind of calculation. First, we will calculate the total sales, then the last year sales, then the growth percentage actually. Okay, and when we are calculating the last year sales, instead of this date add, I can use one more function also. Okay, let me copy this. I'm just writing a new measure again. I will save this as is so that when I share this report with you guys, you can refer what was the calculation that we have written previously. Okay, so we have something called the same period last year. Okay, it evaluates, you see what does the same period last year does. Again, you see, it returns a set of dates in the current selection from the previous year. That's what it is doing, right? So based on the dates only, we are asking it to give the sales actually. So that is where it is giving the sales for those dates from the last year as such. Okay. Now you see same period last year and it's asking for the input of dates. So whatever the date table that we have, we will just give the date actually. Okay. I'll just close the parenthesis and now, okay, last year sales is already there, it says. So I will say I have used same period last year as such for my calculation as such. Same period underscore last underscore year as such. Okay. So now you can see there will not be any difference in this calculation and the previous one also. You see, the value, whatever it is giving, it's the same. You see, this last year sales and the last year, same period last year function, which I am using. Okay. Both gives the same output. Okay. But this date add that we are using in here, okay, this one, we can use for comparing with current week to last week, current month to last month, and today to yesterday also. And where we can see that, we can see under here, the intervals that we have. Sorry, not the current week to last week. We can compare with the yesterday with today, previous month with current month, previous quarter with the current quarter, and even the previous year with the current year as such. Okay, these are the different intervals that we can calculate using the date add. So date, that's where I was just initially showing you the date add, because date add has more inputs than the same period last year as such. Okay, so now you can see this calculation both are same. So now we are able to use this calculation and you can able to find the growth as such. So for that, we are showing this in a matrix visual. Okay, we'll talk in detail, but I just wanted to show you these calculations because this is very important. So here you may get a question wherein how did you use the DAX actually? In order to, in your experience, you may get asked actually. So you can explain about this. So we calculated the current year sales. Current year sales is nothing but this one. Last year sales and then the growth percentage that you can explain in detail as such. So by this, what we will know, are my sales increasing or decreasing? Both ways we can know. Okay, that's something about the total sales. And then we were looking at something called the trend lines, right? Okay, so along with this line chart, I will tell you something, one more example also in terms of the DAX. So first, we will take the total sales that we were thinking to take. Okay, it's just giving one single point because we did not give anything on the axis actually. Okay, so now Now we will add the year actually into the axis. Okay, so this is the sales that we are taking as. Okay, let's say I want to see the average. Okay, or I want to plot an average line. What was my average sales over a period of time? When I say over a period of time from 2014 to 2017, I just want to add an average line. What will I do? I'll just go to this analytics. I have something called average line. I will just say add. Now you see the average line got added in here. So that why we want to know the average, again, there will be a reason whenever we are trying to add something, because this average line will help us in understanding what will be the average sales over a period of time, and this will help us in understanding, can we reach more than this, can we reach can we improve our sales, something like that. It will give us the information as such. We will be using the average line as such. I hope you guys are able to hear me, right? Hi. Okay. That's so here I have added a dotted line. So we can add the label also in here. You see, label in the sense the numbers, what was the average sales, or it can be a dotted line, it can be a dashed line or a solid line. We can change as per that. And transparency about the color of this line we are just trying to look at. And for the data label, we can even change the font also, I think. We can add the name and value. See, average line, or it says average line plus the number. What is this average line that talks about? Okay. And again, we can put the vertical position in case we want to have a particular vertical line also. I mean to say the uh, number number value where we are putting under or above that of this line, that we can display the units. At the same time, if you want to have this in thousands and all, we can change. And also like decimal places, if we want, we can do, or we can add zero also without decimal, something like that. Okay, these all changes we can do for this average line. Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to show was we can even plot a trend line. Trend line is nothing but it will show the kind of trend that has been followed based on the data points that are placed, like 2014 sales, 15 sales, 16 sales. So this is the black line is the trend line. Let me remove the other line, which is the average line. So this will be visible properly. And again, for this trend line also, we can add, uh, see the combination of the series, transparency color, change the color code. These things can be done for the trend line. Also, we can add some constant line also. This constant line is nothing but it will just add the values for each and every value that we have over a period of time. If you see the dotted line at the bottom, that's the constant line that is being added. So basically, let me check what is the constant line. Actually, just that I'm just trying to understand what is the purpose of the constant line as such. It just like is a line graphed at the specified x or y value in Cartesian. Actually, they are just adding the line actually, so that it creates a constant line where we can modify the appearance and behavior of the constant line by changing the property values. Property values are nothing but here, whatever the line that we are adding, okay, we can just add the constant line at one point, okay, where let's say my constant line I want to add at 600K, I can specify the value in here. Sorry, this is x-axis line only, right? 600K, is that correct or not? One second. Let me remove the value first. Infrared behind Okay, let me add this constant line to y-axis first of all. So here it is, and I want that line to be like a point 0.4, uh, point 0.4. So I can add the value in here actually, 400 something. So this value, this constant line will come somewhere in here actually. Yeah, that's yeah. You see that got changed now. I'll add one more zero. So now the value got added at 400K. So I'll add one. See it got added on 4 million actually. So instead of 400K, I will make that as 600K. Now you see the constant line got added in here. And why we add this constant line is we do not want our sales to dip below this constant line. Okay, so that tracking will be done by the sales team every time whenever that goes below this line, and a trigger will be sent. When I say trigger, a notification will be sent to the sales people saying our sales are dipping below the constant line, below the target line that we want to put in. And based on that, I think we have to improve ourselves. That's what they will do using this constant line. And we can even plot minimum line, maximum line, and these lines are based on the sales that you have plotted in here. So minimum sales is this the line? Yeah, one second. Minimum line. Let me add the label in here. Then you can see the minimum. This was the sales as such. Okay. Let me put that on focus mode. When we put on this on focus mode, it will just highlight the visual that you are looking at so that the numbers will appear in a bigger size, or the visual also will appear in a bigger size as such. So like this, we can add these forecasting line also, percentile line, median line, min maximum line. We just saw that. Okay, forecasting line is something we have to give the pointers as such. Okay, like we are trying to forecast for the next 10 data points. Okay, you can see the sales will be increasing from in here to here. We are trying to forecast actually, and the upper bound and lower bound are nothing but they the sales may be under this lines is what we are forecasting. And the confidence interval we can set up to 99%. I think in here 75 to 99% we can put that confidence line. And seasonality points are nothing but how many data points you want to look at going forward. I just want to look at only 2 points. I'll just say apply. When seasonality wise, probably 2017, I have the data. So one seasonality, this seasonality, I think even I'm not pretty sure of that, but uh, it just checks with the amount of time period that we are looking at based on the old data that is available. So this forecasting line is applied based on the previous data, and this they are trying to project the sales. This would be like in 2024. This will be the upper bound. This will be the lower bound. Lower bound means that may be the lowest sales, highest sales, and the forecasted sales. So these all things are important. And someone asks about the forecast line or trend line and all, we have to give this all information regarding the analytics tab that we have here. Okay, any questions in here? Okay, so I will just go forward. And I wanted to show you one more thing in terms of this line chart itself. Okay. So here I am going to write one more measure. Okay. So here the total sales which I am putting in the values. Okay. And previously I'm trying to bring in the year also to the axis. Now in terms of this forecasting lines only where this got added actually. Okay. So let's say I am thinking my sales would increase by 20% for the next, I mean to say, if my sales being increased by 20% for the next 1 month, 2 months, something like that. So I would like to understand what would be my sales as such. Okay. So in that case, what will I do? I'll write a targets as well. Okay. So for that, I will be writing a one more measure. So target, this will be my sales, which is the total sales. And I want to multiply or add the total sales and by multiplying by 20% as such. Okay. So this will be my target which I am thinking of. Okay. Again, so this target I can put in the secondary values. Now you see the blue line shows the target value, which is the dark blue color. Okay. And you can see in 2015, my sales was like 6 lakhs 9,000 and I'm expecting a target of 7 lakhs 31,000. So I want to increase my sales by 20%. So in that case, what are the strategies I want to put in place? We'll try to show the users if our sales are being increased by 20%. This is where our sales would be, and what we have to do in order to increase that also, we will be able to showcase to the users as such based on the line chart we can put in or bar chart we can put in or any other visual we can use in here, this case. So because the line chart would be apt for this kind of analysis, that is where I use this one. Okay. And the other thing we can do here is if we see this 0.2%, we can make this dynamic actually. When I say dynamic, instead of we hard coding this, we can give the user to hard code, I mean to say write the numbers actually. So in that case, what we will do is we can create a parameter as such. Okay. And to create a parameter, we'll go to the modeling tab, a new parameter. Okay. And here I'm saying percentage or percent, something like that. Okay. And I will take this as a decimal number. My minimum value would be zero point 0.1, maximum will be 1. And here I'm saying to increment the value by 0 0.1 something. And I can add this parameter as a slicer is what I'm thinking now. So now I'll see. By default, I will take the 0.1 only the value is. So I will add this as a slicer in here. Now you see this value, whatever we want to increase or decrease, it got added as a slicer in here. So how will this increase? You see, this will be increasing like percentage based on the values that we are seeing. So what are the what happens behind the scene is it will create a table actually, and it is giving the values, okay, based on a this is generate series is a table calculation actually. Okay, if we click on the percent, you can see the calculation. So it is just creating a random numbers from 0.1 to 1 and increasing by 0.1, like 10% we are trying to increase this. So whatever the calculation that we have written previously, the target, instead of this 0.2, I can just add this percent value in, you see, the percent value, so that whatever that I am selecting in here, based on that, my value will keep on changing. So if I increase my sales by 40%, now we can see what would be my sales. You see, it will, the target will be like 10 lakhs 26,000. So this we are making it dynamic, and we can either use a drop down also here where we can select if my sales is increased by 20%, what would be my sales? You see that target line shows, and uh, even the current year sales and the target sales. So if I increase by 40%, you can see the number will change. So this type of dynamic uh, uh, conditions we have to write actually when we are working on any kind of calculations. For that, we are trying to create a parameter. And how we create it? We have went to modeling tab and we added a new parameter in here, and that we can add it as a slicer, that is the percentage increase. So for the percent increase, if I increase by 50%, so it shows what would be my sales. Okay, what would be my sales based on the percent increase which I am doing in here. You see, 10 lakhs 99,000 will be my target if I am increasing my sales by 50%. Okay, that's how you would create the dynamic uh, parameters as such in order to look into like the target values. So this again, this target or this forecasting, they are relatively similar, but the change is here you can change it manually from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, the percentages as such. And here the forecasting is being done based on the previous values that are being added to the visual as such. Okay, that's what the difference is between this visual and this visual, where here the target value that we are trying to set, and this is something the forecasting that we are trying to set based on the analytics tab that is already in here. Okay, these two are the different methods. If someone asks you, did you do any kind of forecasting in the Power BI, you can just let them know about this one. Okay. Any questions till now? Because we discussed few of the main functions. I'll try to save this. I will want to stop in here.